Alive and Well STL is a presentation of the St. Louis Regional Health Commission with the first decade review of health status report to build a healthier St. Louis, and RareGem Productions. Power up with the positive. Learn more at OneRareGem.com. That's OneRaregem.com.
Support for Alive and Well STL comes from Beyond Housing, helps entire communities become better places to live. Learn more at beyondhousing.org.
The Regional Health Commission works in partnership with regional health sector advocates and stakeholders to improve healthcare access, reduce health disparities, and improve health outcomes for the uninsured and the underinsured in St. Louis City and County.
Alive and Well STL with Bethany Johnson-Javois, CEO of the St. Louis Integrated Health Network.
We touch over 9,000 children, and it's hard to say how many adults that we touch, but we do. We work with lots of adults in the community because when you work with the children, you're working with the family because it's a family problem. Why is it such a problem? Because it affects so many people, and it's growing. Children are becoming asthmatic at an earlier age, and a lot of people do not realize that you can develop asthma at any age.
We'll be right back. What does it mean to you to be alive and well in St. Louis? We want to hear your story. Tell us what it means to you personally, what you need to achieve it, how our program may have helped, or even some of your best recommendations for the rest of us. You can share it on the message box at 314-333-8369. You can send an email to info@OneRareGem.com. You can even post it on Facebook at ONERGP or on the Hallelujah 1600 page as well. We'll share your message with our community to help make it possible for everyone to thrive. It's great to be alive. Be alive and well, STL. 10 a.m. Mondays on Hallelujah 1600. RareGem Productions proudly presenting the positive.
What does it mean to you personally to be alive and well in STL?
For me, it means that I'm looking at health disparities, and how we can prevent them, how we can do more education and get the public more aware of what's going on with themselves and their bodies so that they will feel better and live longer.
Alive and well, STL.
So, Mary, state your name so that everyone knows who's in the studio.
My name's Mary Hawkins.
And what do you do, Mary Hawkins?
I am the nursing supervisor for St. Louis City Health Department School Nurse Division.
How did you end up becoming a nurse? How is this the field that you knew you wanted to get into?
I worked in nursing in different forms, secretary, nurse's aide, for 14 years before I went to nursing school. And I went to nursing school in 1977. And I've been in nursing ever since.
Well, it's great to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you.
So as your introduction, can you talk more about the mission of Asthma Friendly St. Louis?
Asthma Friendly St. Louis is a program through St. Louis City Health Department that helps educate children and adults on asthma, because children have asthma and we work with them in the schools and the community, but there are a lot of adults who also have asthma. Our way of thinking is if we can start with the children, work on getting them to know their triggers, getting them to have asthma action plans in the schools, at home, wherever they go, at grandma's house, wherever, getting the coaches to understand that asthma is a serious problem and kids are not faking it when they start to have problems breathing, and that some of them have exercise-induced asthma and pre-treatment with albuterol or Pro-Air or whatever their medication is prior to beginning the sport means that they can participate a lot more and have complications a lot less.
About how many people does your department touch each year?
Oh, my goodness. We touch over 9,000 children, and it's hard to say how many adults that we touch, but we do. We work with lots of adults in the community because when you work with the children, you're working with the family because it's a family problem.
So let's bring awareness to the public. Why is asthma such a problem in our region?
Why is it such a problem? Because it affects so many people, and it's growing. Children are becoming asthmatic at an earlier age, and a lot of people do not realize that you can catch asthma. You can develop asthma at any age.
That's a good point to make. Current data that we have reveals a concentration of uncontrolled asthma with children under 5 years old across North City and North County. And we also know that African American children in the region are 7.5 times more likely to visit the emergency room for asthma than white children. This disparity has persisted between 2000 and 2009. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction to that is that a lot of our clientele, our moms, dads, who have children who are asthmatic, do not understand the importance of knowing the symptoms that the child is having and looking at the symptoms earlier than when they start to have shortness of breath, wheezing, and chest tightness, to look at how they're acting prior to, because by the time they have the shortness of the breath, the chest tightness, and wheezing, they're already in trouble. So if they know their triggers and know what are the signs and symptoms leading up to their triggers, they can work in a preventive measure. And if each and every child had an asthma action plan that came from the physician, that's a roadmap to taking care of the child. It tells them when they're having some minor symptoms, that would be the green zone, when they might be having some symptoms, and you can just work on it, and the symptoms will more or less be solved. Yellow zone is when they're having some symptoms, and you may need to do some medication and limit activities if necessary. And red zone is when a child is in trouble. He's already having symptoms, and if the rescue medicines don't work, that they need to be calling 911 to get them some care. But we don't want them to have to do that. We want them to take their control of medicine every day, which is a problem. Children do not take their control of medications every day. Parents don't see the significance of giving it every day because they don't feel like they see it working. They see the rescue medicine working because it either assists them in breathing or they get worse and they go to the emergency room. So a lot of families, and I say families because it may be the caregiver, it may be the coach, it may be the daycare, the babysitter, whoever who's working with that child may not see the significance of giving them that control of medicine at the same time every day and use the rescue medicine more than is necessary.
So how would a parent or a caregiver know the difference between a controller medicine and a rescue medicine? Make that very plain language for people.
Okay. When the doctor prescribes the medication for you, he tells you which medicine is used for what. When you go to the pharmacy, we have a lot of asthma-friendly pharmacists who will tell you which medicine is used for what, and that the rescue medicine is something that's only given in an emergency, and that is usually the Ventolin or the Pro-Air or the Albuterol, and those are the rescue medicines. And they usually tell you that it's a rescue medicine, and they give you the signs and symptoms of it along with a written copy of the information about the medication for the controller and for the rescue medication.
What is asthma?
Asthma is a chronic disease of the lungs that once you have it, that it can be treated. It is usually forever, but it can be controlled, and with control and managing the medication and using the asthma action plan, a child can do everything that a child without asthma can do. They can play sports, they can go to school, they can have perfect attendance. They can do anything that any other child can do as long as they manage their asthma and take their medications as indicated.
What are the most common triggers to look for?
The worst trigger, well, the number one trigger is secondhand smoke, cigarette smoke. That's the number one trigger. Animal dander. Environmental triggers are things like pesticides, pests such as cockroaches, mice, rats, any furry animal.
What information do you think is important for our community, meaning neighbors, pastors, teachers, families, that we need to understand about asthma?
That asthma is a chronic illness, and that if they know, have information about asthma, know some of the signs and symptoms of asthma, that they can work with the child and the family to help decrease the signs and symptoms of asthma. And that sometimes these things occur while they're at church, while they're at recreation centers, while they're out playing on the playground, and that if we're more aware of the signs and symptoms, we can help the child before it gets to a serious situation.
What are some myths around asthma that you can address right now?
One of the myths that I can address is that a lot of people think children are faking it. They think they're just doing it for attention, and that's not true in a lot of the schools. Not all of the coaches, but sometimes they think that if a child says they have asthma, they're being a wimp, and that a couple more laps around the track will help them get over that. And that could be bad for a child, and that they shouldn't take controller medicines. A lot of people don't realize that the controller medicines are what keeps the child from going to the emergency room 2 to 3 times a month, missing 3 or 4 days of school a week or a month.
So the controller medicine is prevention. And even if you can't physically see it working, like when they're in crisis, they have to do it, like you would take a vitamin every day.
Correct.
What trends concern you about asthma treatment?
One of the trends that concerns me about asthma treatment is the fact that a lot of times the children don't have the medicine readily available at the schools when they need to have the rescue medicines. Or if they get into crisis, they don't, and they are having a anaphylactic reaction, that they don't have an EpiPen.
What advice do you have then for parents who are looking to want to prevent another asthma attack? They don't want to be in the emergency room. What steps do they need to take to make sure that that doesn't happen for their child?
They need to keep an updated asthma action plan. That means they need to see their health care provider at least once every 3 to 6 months, and that each and every time they go, they ask about the asthma action plan. And also that they know the child's triggers. And if they don't understand the way the medicine works, don't leave the doctor's office without someone explaining it to you. A lot of times we don't know, and we're ashamed to say we don't know how it works. We just leave because we don't want anybody to think that we're stupid. It doesn't mean that we're stupid. It just means that we don't understand, because there are a lot of things that I don't understand. And simply, you're a consumer. You're paying for this service. Ask someone to explain it to you, break it down to you, tell you in a way that you understand.
You deserve to know, and your child deserves to have the best treatment available. What's the role for the schools then? We've got the role for the parent, but what should schools and coaches and others be doing?
Asthma education. There's free asthma education through Asthma Friendly St. Louis. We will come out to any school, we'll come out to any family, and we'll do asthma education with them. We'll also make them aware of resources that are available, like the resources that are listed on our webpage, Asthma Friendly St. Louis webpage. And also listed on that webpage is an organization called Project Concern that's through the Asthma and Allergy Foundation. And they have different things that will help the consumer or the asthmatic child or asthmatic parent. They can help them with prescriptions. If they have a prescription and they can't afford the cost of the medication, they can assist them with that. And sometimes they can assist them in getting the sheets that are allergy-free sheets.
What is the bright spot about asthma or asthma treatment that we can focus on in order to change the trends around asthma in our community?
That it is a chronic disease, and with awareness and education, we can make sure that children live a long and good life. They can do anything that other children can do.
Is there anything else you want to add that's important for our listeners to know?
I wanted to let our listeners know that there's a program called Asthma Ready St. Louis that asthmatic families can come to. The parents and the child can come, and they will get asthma education, and they may get to be a part of a program on asthma that's going to continue over a period of time. And the number they can call, 657-1429.
Area code 314.
Area code 314.
That is a great next step and something actionable that the community can do. Thank you, Mary, for joining us today and for the work that you have done and the City of St. Louis Public Health Department and so many in the region to address this issue in our community. Be alive and well today, St. Louis. We'll be back next week. Thanks for listening.
Alive and Well, STL. Thank you for joining us today. For resources available, go to aliveandwellstl.com. If you have more questions about the program, need help, or want to connect, please call the message box at 314-333-8369. The Regional Health Commission with Chief Executive Officer Robert Friend Jr. committed to providing a detailed review of change over the past decade in 14 leading health indicators for the city and county of St. Louis. The first decade review of health status report, an update to building a healthier St. Louis. Discover the narrative, the data, and celebrate the progress already made to improve healthcare access and reduce health disparities in our region. Learn more at stlrhc.org. Alive and Well STL is another positive production of RareGem Productions. Thanks for listening.